Construction Trades Council of Greater New York. Please welcome Mario Salento, President, AFL-CIO. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 57th Governor of the great state of New York, Governor Kathy Hochul.
Let me guess. Is HTC in the house? I thought so. Oh, what an enthusiastic crowd we have here this morning, so thank you. It is so great to be here, not in Albany. Love Albany, great city, but here we are with incredible accomplishments that I cannot wait to share with all of you, because you are the people that were in our hearts and in our minds when we put together this budget to help lift up all New Yorkers, but particularly the working men and women of our state. So that's what. Thank you. And so, let me tell you who some of the extraordinary leaders we have with us here today, starting with the president of the New York State AFL-CIO, Mario Salento, has joined us. Someone who's familiar to all of you, Rich Morocco, the president of Hochul. Rich, I think you're more popular than me. It's all right. We also have Gary LaBarbera, the president of the Building Trades Council of Greater New York. Gary, great friend. Henry Garrido, the executive director of DC 37. Rebecca Damon, the executive director of SAG-AFTRA. John Ford from IATSE is here joining us as well. And you'll be hearing from a young woman, Chandra Singh, who's going to talk about what this is all about to her and her family. So I want to give a shout out to Chandra Singh for joining us once again. And we have wonderful elected officials here today. We are joined all the way from Washington, D.C., Congressman Jerry Nadler. State Senator and Chair of the Senate Labor Committee, Jessica Ramos, has joined us. LaToya Joyner, the Assembly member and also Chair of the Assembly Labor Committee. I don't know if Brad Hoylman has come. Brad's on his way. Got the shortest commute. What the heck, Brad? This is your neighborhood. We'll forgive him. Also, we are joined by members of my administration, the one and only Commissioner of Labor, Roberta Reardon. And Suzanne Gustav, Miles Gustav, our acting commissioner of the New York State Office of Children and Family Services, has joined us here today. You know, when I'm in rooms like this, it makes me so proud to be the governor of one of the most labor-friendly, and the labor population here is the highest than any other state in the nation except for Hawaii. We'll let Hawaii have that one. I mean, that's all right. But we're number 2, and we're going to try harder. And so... But when I'm in a room, when I think about all of you, it takes me back to my own family's story. how my grandparents, my father's parents, grew up very, very poor in Ireland. They left as teenagers in search of a better life in America, like so many others, so many of you, so many of your families. And they found work. My grandpa was a migrant farm worker in the wheat fields of South Dakota. Then they got jobs as domestic servants in Chicago. And my grandparents, when they were young and married, they found their way to where they heard there were good jobs making steel in a place called Buffalo, New York. And that's why I'm from Buffalo. But I know, let's go Bills. The Jets are looking good. The Giants, okay. Let's talk about that next fall, okay? But I know what being a member of a labor union and the dignity of that paycheck meant to my own family. It lifted them from poverty to the middle class. We benefited from fantastic public schools. And ultimately, those poor grandparents became the grandparents of a woman governor in the state of New York. That's the story I want available to all of us, that they can be lifted out of their circumstances with a good union card from all the great unions that I'm proud to represent here in the state of New York. So my gratitude goes to the labor leaders who are out there rolling up their sleeves, fighting for you every single day, because we are joined in the same mission to help our people. It's that basic. And they were great allies during our budget process when they spoke about you and your needs and what you need to get by in these really tough circumstances. Life is hard here these days because of the cost of living just keeps going up and up and up. I mean, my God, the cost of eggs used to be one of the cheapest things you could buy. I'm a mom. I was making a lot of things with eggs and milk and had to buy diapers and formula a long time ago. These are stresses on families. When the prices go up and the most dreaded hour of the week is when they have to open up the bills that come in. How am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to pay my utilities? Maybe you're paying for your kids' school. It's really hard out there. And everything's going up. It's no fault of anybody. It's called inflation. I remember when I was starting out, young married life, everything was expensive too. But all of a sudden, things like just turned upside down. You thought you were getting ahead, but the bills keep getting higher and higher. And you know who's hit the hardest? Members of our great communities. We're so diverse. Our black and brown communities hit hard. A lot of single moms trying to make ends meet. They're hit hard, working hard by the day and trying to figure out how to pay the bills with their kids at night. So these aren't just statistics you talk about. You talk about inflation going up. These are real people being hurt. And to me, that's what motivates me. That's what gets me up in the morning. That's what brings me to the Capitol to work hard on a budget that I needed to deliver for all New Yorkers. And so, you're going to hear from Chandra Singh in a couple of minutes, what it's like to be a working mom. She works at the Mandarin Hotel, works really hard. She's got a couple of daughters she raised, and she'll tell her story. But it is people like Chandra and countless others that are the story behind the numbers of a budget and the policies in a budget that we delivered with our members of the legislature. And I'm so grateful to all of them for working with me, pulling together, saying it's not about us. It's about the people of this state. So let's talk about some of that. Let's talk about that. So let's talk about young families. Families have it hard. I just saw my grandbaby. She's 1 year old. And I saw the cost of diapers, and I could not believe how expensive it is. I can't wait till she's potty trained. It's going to help the young family, my son's family. But I knew that children, families with kids under the age of 5, they were not entitled to a tax credit that's available for families with 5-year-olds and up. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. The most expensive time is when they're outgrowing their clothes every 6 months, the baby food, the formula, the diapers, everything you have to buy, and those families were left behind. So I said, no more, no more. As a result of our legislation, as a result of our budget, Now families with kids from infants all the way on up to high school are going to be able to benefit from a tax credit that will help give them extra money in their pockets to pay for the milk and pay for the eggs and pay for the electric bill. So let's give that a round of applause. Also, thank you. Also, a lot of you take the MTA, right? All right. I've taken the MTA a lot. Sometimes I'm wearing a baseball hat, ponytail, a pair of jeans. You probably don't recognize me a lot, but I'm out there. I'm watching things. But we also want to make sure we can start finding a pathway to cut the cost of rides and keeping the fare increases as low as possible, keep more money in your pockets. But also, we are launching, and I thank the legislature for their perseverance in getting this over the finish line. We are starting a pilot program to see what even free buses could do for our people. So you don't have to worry about that. So we're launching one bus route per borough. Let's get started with 5. We're going to study this. But you know what? This might just be the way to go. So let's start the process now. Let's start the process. The cost of housing. The cost of housing. I'm trying to help you, my friends, and we'll get something done. We have to build more housing overall, and we're going to come back at it again. But in the meantime, a lot of our families and friends in NYCHA housing, they weren't eligible for the pandemic money that was there to help people who got behind their rent. I mean, you're told the place you're working is shut down because of the pandemic. You have no money coming in. And some people were eligible for federal and state money to help pay the back rent so you didn't get trapped in this cycle. But it wasn't available to our public housing residents in NYCHA. So the money wasn't coming into those buildings to help with repairs and making sure that we fix the elevators and the broken lights and all the other things that are going on. So our budget also said, okay, it's not their fault. Let's lift them up. And as a result, we're having almost $400 million set aside for emergency rental assistance for these individuals so they can get their heads above water. All these things we're doing, we're helping with utility rent relief, we're helping all kinds of services. You're going to find more. Well, let me tell you one more thing I said. Before we leave town, and we'll find ways to get more money back in your pockets. But how about a pay increase for all New Yorkers, starting with raising the minimum wage? Let's raise the minimum wage. That's how you lift people up. That's how you lift them up. So the budget raises the minimum wage downstate up to $17 an hour by 2026, upstate $16 an hour. But one more thing I said, and I thank the legislator, I thank Andrea Stewart-Cousins, the majority leader of the Senate, and I thank Carl Heastie, the Speaker of the Assembly, because we worked hard together, and they represented the voices of the people in their conferences. We said we have to do this. We also said one more thing. If inflation keeps going up, all of a sudden, even a pay increase gets sucked away, right? It doesn't. So going forward, after we get to this $17 an hour, we're going to index it to inflation. Inflation goes up, your paycheck goes up. And that's what we're going to do. I will close with one thought. I am blessed to be the governor of this state. I'm also blessed to live in a home that was once occupied by Franklin Delano Roosevelt before he became the President of the United States. He was our governor. He was our governor. And he said something that stuck with me. The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance for those who have much. It's whether we provide enough for those who have too little. The ones who have too little, the ones who need our help. And that's what we're called to do. That's our responsibility. That is why I believe many of us are called to public service. Many of us are called to be union leaders. Many of us are called just to be out there on the front lines helping people. And that's what you do every single day. And I am grateful for the role you play and the role that unions play in lifting up our people, lifting up their circumstances, ultimately lifting up their spirits and letting them know that this is a place of opportunity, is a place of new beginnings, a place that we cherish and love, but we're going to make it even better, make it greater than we've ever imagined before. So I thank you for the privilege of being your governor, being able to work with you on this and so many more initiatives we head into the future with that sense we can do this, but we have to take out and look up for those who have so little. Thank you, my friends. And with that, thank you. With that, let me bring to the podium one of the greatest labor leaders in the history of our state, Mario Cilento.